Hey, Greg. As you close this chapter here on this season here, what's the important? What can you take from this season, and then what's on the end? What are you looking for next year as you begin your process building the team out? What's first and foremost of what this team really needs going forward?
Yeah, at first, honestly, like just a lot of emotions today. It's been a challenging year. It's been a grind. We've had a lot of guys sacrifice physically over the course of the season, who've taken injuries, most for the first time, and having to do that, losing those guys because I know how much they care about it and they care about the group and they wanted to be successful. They sacrificed. The guys who stayed healthy, I felt like battled and did the best they could, really, and down the stretch, and we didn't have enough. And in the end, it was when you have that much lack of continuity, kind of in and out, and we struggled. And I from my side wasn't able to kind of connect all of those new pieces and the pieces that were and deal with all of the changes over and over in a way to kind of solidify us down the very stretch. We were doing a great job, and then we lost Ricky, and we lost Mark, and we lost a few more, and that became the thing that tipped us over the edge. And you could even see tonight when Ricky came on, it's a different game, So we reflect on every aspect of things, from a new and sort of a new process is the way this league works, now, because with throwing a tournament in the middle of the season meant that at the beginning of the season, so many games were coming fast and furious. How to manage the proximity of those games and really rotating players, and obviously you want to stay as healthy as you can. Some of those things you can kind of control through as many mechanisms as you can control, sports science, all those things that you can try to do and look at to try to keep guys as healthy as possible. The guys, for us, they were just massive injuries. But I think it's got to reflect on it, because if this is the way the league is going to trend, where we're going to play a ton of games all pushed together at the beginning of the season, and then play a tournament in the middle of the season, and then there's Open Cup, and then there's other things. I think all of us need to reflect a lot on what that's going to look like over the course of a season, with our rosters, with rotations, how we build, how we do things. Because I was talking with the coaching staff on the other side after the game, and it was actually before the game. It was the same context for them, like so many games on top of each other. They've been going through injury stuff. So for us is to reflect on that process and finding the best solutions and the best way to attack that. Obviously to think about also nuances in terms of how we want to play. I think we obviously conceded too many goals. For me, there are a lot of reasons for that. We weren't scoring goals at the beginning of the season, and we end up scoring goals to the tune of 50-plus goals over the course of the season. So we found some solutions on the attacking side. I don't necessarily think some of it was maybe at the cost of the defending, but I really think some of the defending was we just didn't have any continuity in our back line and with our center backs. And for me, a former center back, the foundation of a team is off of your two center backs and your back line being able to manage things on the defensive side, control things. It doesn't mean you're gonna control the game, but if you're just conceding goals easily, it kind of undermines anything that you're trying to build with the ball or against the opposition in many ways. So there's so many things I could probably ramble on forever, but I think ultimately we just have to reflect and see what things out of this that we can really control and be better with those things. I'll probably beat myself up on about everything, but I think it's really being able to analyze what we can control and being able to improve upon those things. And with every season, we're gonna go through some players gone, new players coming in, new players going out. I think it's really important that we get as many guys into preseason, and because of the way the season starts, I just think you got to get guys into preseason, and you got to get some continuity there, and you got to start strong, because the points at the beginning are just as important as any of the points throughout the course of the season.
Before I ask, is Greg taking part in Monday?
You'll be around.
Yeah, I'll be here Monday.
Okay,
I'll be here.
we'll,
You probably get more clarity and less rambling from me.
Yeah.
I've got a lot going on in my mind tonight,
and
so
it
I
gives
appreciate
us
that.
a chance, yeah, Monday becomes more about that. I'm wondering, one, are you glad this year's over? Are you glad to be done?
As a competitor, no, because, again, I think I've been around this league for close to 25 years, and there's very, very, very few, like the tune of 3 or 4, where I haven't been in the playoff scenario with a group, whether as a player or not a player, and it embarrasses me when I'm not, which is hard to swallow, and that's part of the emotion. In terms of the endurance that this season has required, I think, is in some ways, yes, to be honest. But I think that's going to be part of the reflection and making sure it doesn't happen again, you know. But for me, every day, every week was a process of trying to analyze how to help this group with things constantly happening to find its foundation, to be successful, to put partnerships on the field that could be successful, to organize the team and prepare a team to be successful. And it with the staff, with everybody around, the players, everybody, it was a grind. So never happy to see it end, but I'm ready to move on to another chapter.
As a follow-up to Damien's question, talked to a few coaches in the league about Leagues Cup getting dropped into the season and how it impacted the schedule and all. I don't know anybody who likes it. What say, if any, do the clubs have in this? What arguments can you make to the league that, especially if you've got the roster limits that are placed on these teams, that all these games in so short amount of time to where you end up, I mean, how often do you play 2 times a week? Early in the season,
Yeah.
and coming right out of the Leagues Cup.
Yeah.
It impacts the product itself, and this league seems to, right now, care more about the product than the game itself.
Right.
How do we combat that, if at all?
I don't know the best answer. I think, you know, all of us who have been inside of the locker room and inside of the teams that have been trying to work with our groups and manage our groups through this type of season, like, it's really like Leagues Cup is one thing. It's how League Cups impacts everything else is really what the problem is, right? And it's, you know, not everyone, but there's a lot of people who say, oh, well, in Europe, these guys play 60, 70 games, all that kind of stuff. It is not apples to apples. It just really isn't. And I know we want more games because it's, whether it's more money or more visibility for the product or more relationship with Liga MX, which all those things can make sense. But I'm telling you, for the players, for everybody around, it is absolutely brutal. And it's difficult, like I said, between the travel and, look, MLS isn't the most efficient league in the world when it comes to the playing. And every time you go a little further down in your roster, it gets a lot less efficient on the field. And the inefficiencies that exist mean workloads, exposure, all these things go up significantly over time, in which players are now vulnerable, in my opinion. And I saw this in 2018 with Toronto, when we didn't have Leagues Cup, but we went deep into the CONCACAF Champions League, all the way to the final, and just absolutely paid for it for the rest of the season. Couldn't get the group healthy. It's the intensity, the volume, the inefficiencies that come with, you know, all of these things that just take a toll on teams and players. And that's why I say that, I mean, the best we can do is, if we're there, is to find the best ways to manage it, to make rotations, to try to to do it. Hopefully, you know, if we stick here, there are going to be more resources to broaden our teams, to be able to have more rotations, where rotations don't mean more inefficiencies, which mean more exposure, because that's what tends to happen. So we'll see. I mean, I think, again, I think technical folks will share their opinion in the discussions and the meetings and all that stuff. I just don't know what that will mean at the end of the day.
Greg, you guys have missed the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years. With 9 teams in each conference making it, finishing 13th. I mean, this feels like a pretty monumental miss whenever you're looking at sort of everything. And obviously, we've talked about all the things that have sort of affected the team this year, but how does the team feel about sort of the way this all ended?
Yeah, I mean, extremely disappointed. You know, I would say to you at the beginning of season, you look at it and there's 9 spots there that you can't miss it. But that's before you write the story of a season. That's easy to say, you know, when you start to write the story of a season and everything that a team endures over, I mean, a season is a lifetime for guys. And when you start to write that story, then there's things you can understand, there's things you can't understand, there's decisions you'd like to change along the way that maybe would have been certain things, but it's something that, look, we can't be there again. You can't have seasons like this. Like I've said this before, I've talked to multiple GMs and technical directors and other coaches. They're like, you guys have had the shit you can't get in 5 years, you've had it in 1 year. And what a challenge, you know? And yeah, so that's the facts. We learn from it, and we have to grow from it, and we have to accept it, and we have to be better for it, and we have to improve, and we don't have to be okay with it. I think we need to actually be sickened by it and figure out the right way to improve from it and never let it happen again. But I've not seen a season ever in my however many years of playing and coaching I'm at now where there's been this many season-ending injuries of this style. Like I said, 7 years in Toronto, 1 ACL injury. We had multiple. We've had Martine's injury. The docs have I've never seen an ACL tear off of a tibia before like that in an adult body. Like the things that have transpired are they're unique, and unique still is possible, right? Unique is still possible, and we had what I hope is a unicorn season in the worst way, and I hope that's we can never duplicate that again.
I know you talked about the process, and so much, I think, whenever you got brought in was about sort of changing the process or creating the process.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you guys are in a position, and I know this is tough coming off of, the end of this, you guys feel like you're in a position that the process has changed enough where you can get different results?
Yeah, I do, because for me, there's always 2 parts of a club. There's the part that's in front of the curtain that you see on the field every week, and that happens in front, and that is your results and all that kind of stuff. And you can have a horrific season that way and still be growing underneath and behind the curtain, getting certain your departments together, get them functioning, working ahead of time, being more proactive, putting right people in places to do certain things and be prepared so that you, again, when it's time to keep moving forward and moving forward fast in this sport, you're prepared for that. Those things have been certainly happening. Since I've arrived, I've never been more confident about how far ahead we are in our process for this next window than ever before in the history of being here, because the resources are there, the people are there, our departments are connected, statistical analysis, video analysis, scouting, everything is interconnected now and intertwined. So those things, even though this season has been incredibly hard in front of the curtain, behind the curtain, there's been a lot of things that have been accomplished that create foundation and stability for success. We have to now make that work for what's in front of the curtain.
Thanks for your time, Greg.
Thank you.